Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Millionaire Real Estate Agent Podcast. I'm Jason Abrams, and this is the place where we lift the curtain on the world of real estate like never before. Every week, I sit down with visionaries, pirates, and mavericks. We're here to document, demonstrate, and most importantly, demystify their game-changing models and systems. What secrets propel them to the top? And how are they living their dreams? This is about passion, it's about strategy, but above all, it's about real, tangible success. So buckle up and let's dive in. This is the Millionaire Real Estate Agent Podcast. He's like a farmer outstanding in his field. It's a dad joke. Nothing out there. Friends, farming, all kidding aside, is a major way to generate leads in residential real estate. As a matter of fact, I've been on the record in the past in saying anybody who wants to make a ton of money in real estate would have a geographic farm. It just makes sense. And the reason it makes sense is because time on task over time always equals results. We are going to sit down today with a solo agent who built a business that came from her farm, generating over $40 million in volume a year. Recently, she has turned that into a team and is pacing towards $65 million. Friends, she hails from northern Atlanta, and she has this entire thing figured out. I am talking about none other than Susan Lombardo. She's going to walk you through exactly how to generate a farm area, keep in touch with it, and then get repeat and referral business. Sit back and buckle up. This is Susan Lombardo. Susan, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I am fantastic, thank you. So we're going to talk about all the things, the huge success, crushing it as a solo agent, geographic farming, repeat and referral. We're going to do all of it. But before we do, I want to ask you the question that I ask everybody. Susan, how did you end up in the greatest industry in the world?
I started right out of college in the insurance industry. I was a homeowners adjuster. So I've always had a deep love of all types of properties. I'm from the New Orleans area, so a little south of that, from little camps down the bayou to in town, like all of it, all walks of life. I just loved it all. So after about 20 years in insurance adjusting.
Okay, wait a second. You can't just say, I liked insurance, and then after 20 years, did you get a degree? Is there a degree in insurance? What did you go to school for?
There isn't, and this will be an interesting little nugget for you. I graduated in psychology with a double minor in management and marketing, and I was shocked in college that they intentionally pursued psychology degrees. And I thought that was an odd connection until I got into the field, because I was in a large loss unit. So something horrific happened to you if you saw me. I was on a catastrophe team that traveled all over the U.S. So that whole people don't care what you know until they know you care mantra, understanding how to break through emotion, extreme emotion with extreme loss. It worked very hand in hand, honestly, and I fell in love with the industry and had a lucrative career in it for 20 years. And the last 8 or 9 years of it, I kept being drawn into the real estate sector, always thinking, I think I could crush that. I really think I would do well. And so I was on an elevator ride up for the promotion of my life. Before age 40, I would have been one of the very few female AVPs with a Fortune 100 company. And on the elevator ride up, I thought, this purpose is not meeting my passion.
Wow.
And I made a bold risk, a very bold risk.
When you say on the elevator ride, do you mean metaphysically, or do you mean you were on an elevator that you were going to have the meeting, and in that elevator, you decided you were about to take a hard left turn?
Yes, on the elevator ride to the penthouse suite in Buckhead.
Okay, wait a second. What did the people closest to you say when you said, hey, instead of pushing penthouse, I pushed level 1, I walked out, and I'm now a real estate agent? That had to have been like traumatic for everyone.
Yes, and it was truly a couple of decades of the centrifugal force of a fast track in corporate America I had just become, I guess, just accustomed to the grind of it. It was the pinnacle, like the job that I wanted, and it was in sights before age 40. I was one of 6 people selected to fill 2 AVP positions, and you know how corporate works. That means I'm doing my job exceptionally well, and I have to do bits and pieces of the next level job exceptionally well to get chosen. And I had a very unexpected emergency surgery that had me flat on my back for about 5 weeks. The noise got quiet, and the what do I really want next got really loud. And I thought, I'm on the pinnacle of everything I wanted. It is right there. It is 18 months away. And I made a decision going up the elevator, and I'm like, I don't feel the passion anymore. I confuse being exceptionally good at something with happy, and that is not the same thing.
So you decide that you're going to follow your heart into the real estate business. Do you have immediate success once you get in?
Yes, I hit the ground running. I was Rookie of the Year. In my first 3 years in the business, I doubled business twice.
Oh, so how do you do that? I mean, not today. We're going to talk about your models in a second, but like, how do you go from doing no business to being Rookie of the Year? Because I look up and say, that means you just need to have leads. And did you just know everyone in town? Did you just get lucky? What happened?
No, I had never been in a sales position in my life. I spent 20 years in the service industry. This was high-level trauma that people went through, liability claims, litigation as well. Their home burned down, like something awful happened to these people. And I really got exceptionally good at reaching across lines. In litigation, it was adversarial. And I was just consistently able to reach over the line and build rapport with people and let them know I cared. I cared about them. I cared about the outcome. And they were like very satisfied that I was going to do the best job possible for them. We were going to get this across the finish line.
Okay, I got to stop you because I get all that because I know you as a human and I know your heart. But how do you have enough leads to become Rookie of the Year? You still need to find people to buy and sell real estate.
That was definitely a challenge because I did not have a skill set in sales. So I used the skill set that I have as being service oriented. People first. I've always subscribed. If you provide high service, promotions come. If you provide high level service of whatever it is you do, you don't have to worry about money or income. It finds you. And I knew that inherently. And I think the transition was fairly easy for me because I had the discipline of 20 years of a corporate grind. I became a parent about halfway through that career. So, nothing will get your to-do list prioritized quicker than that. And I figured out how to get a lot done fast. Decision-making, quick, what are the facts, decide, pull the trigger, move forward, go, like, let's go. And that discipline was the most shocking thing when I was on the inside of this industry, that real estate in general expects to roll in the office at 10 or 11 a.m. and roll out at 2 or 3 p.m. and have a big, massive career. And I didn't understand the absence of hustle in a sales job. That just seemed inherent to me. So there was never a point from day one on my first day on the job that I didn't show up every day like it was a full-time job before I had a single client. And I was a study of who do I admire in my office. I want to go talk to them. So I got little bits of nuggets from everybody, or I'm from South Louisiana. Let's call it ingredients to my gumbo.
Like it.
And I took a little bit of everybody and kind of developed what made sense to me, what made natural use of talents that I have, easy talents. And then I worked hard at the things that were not easy until they were. And the discipline of every day behaving like you had a full-time thriving business amazingly provided a full-time thriving business in a very short time.
I love that point, which is I show up every day, I act like it's a full-time job, and then miraculously it becomes one.
It does. Amazing how that works.
It's in these years that you start to perfect this idea of geographic farming and repeat and referral that ultimately leads you to doing in excess of $40 million as a solo agent. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay, so I want to unpack that in detail. Friends, if you're out there driving 150 miles an hour in the Range Rover, don't take notes. I'm taking the notes. If you don't get them, they come out every week on Thursday. Just go to MREAnotes.com, enter your email address, and then we're going to send you out all the notes from this episode and every episode. Okay, Susan, tell me exactly how to start my geographic farm and then thrive within it. What's the first step?
So I spent the first 6 to 8 weeks in the door. Whose business do I admire? And I spent minutes with all of them, and I narrowed the field to the one that felt the most authentic to me was the repeat, refer, geographic farming model. So I pulled the trigger fast. 4 months is when I hit the first farm, and I have not missed a month since. July will be 10 years in the business. So that farm rolled out somewhere around October, November of 2015. So I got licensed coming right out of the bottom of the market. So, one beautiful benefit I had is I didn't know that was a bad market. That was the only market I knew, so it didn't scare me any. So what I did is what I know, I started collecting postcards for everything that was sent to my house, whether I needed the service or not. But the grab it from your mailbox, walk into your house. My recycle bin sits right by the door in my garage, and you've got milliseconds to get me in your door. So I started paying attention. Even if I didn't need a plumber or an electrician or a new lawn care company, why did I hesitate for a few seconds on this piece? And I kept it. What about this marketing piece? I'm not switching dentist, but I looked at this dentist marketing and the others went in the trash. And I probably compiled 50 or 60 of them. So I developed very early on a consistency of brand. What I knew from my minor in marketing in college is I don't want it to look totally different every month. It needs to look like a repetitive theme from the same agent. Because if you study the stats, like a typical neighborhood, let's call it 500 homes, maybe 20 to 35 or 40 of them are going to sell in any given year. So how do I make my marketing piece live in their house when I have milliseconds to grab their attention? And I figured out some consistency in branding. I made a few mistakes along the way, like many do. But what I noticed, and it took about, I'm going to say a year to a year and a half before I really locked in, where it feels like, I had instant success. I really did. In the first full year, I had 18% market share against 2 dominants.
Okay, but why? Like I'm sitting out there and I'm driving and I'm like, okay, she sent a postcard once a month. What did you actually do that gave you the success that fast?
What I did is I sent pieces that I wanted to be top of mind for. All things home related, not just buying and selling. I wanted to get in the door when they wanted to remodel their bathroom, when they needed new windows, if they needed a pressure washer. All things home related, because that made them reach out. I didn't share my vendor list. I had a killer vendor list before I had the first client because that was intuitive to me. Anybody buying or selling real estate needs vendors. They need vetted vendors they can trust because the path is fast, depending on their time frame to relocate. So I sent pieces very dominantly market analysis pieces every quarter without fail. I did a MOFR type of piece, January, February, March, April.
Wait a second. Let's go through this because I don't want to lose any of this and I want to kind of keep it linear.
Yeah.
So the first step, you started collecting every postcard that was sent to the house simply so you could get a feel for what caught your eye and what didn't, which helped you formulate your look for your brand. Is that right?
Yes.
Perfect. Step 2 was build a vendor list. Even before you had the clients, because, and if I get this wrong, tell me, You didn't just want to help people buy beautiful homes. You wanted to help them live beautifully. And that meant have a vendor for everything. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Now you're into starting to send the pieces. So it sounds like there's two types of pieces you were sending. Number one is some sort of, we call it MOFR, make offer for immediate response. What's an example of some of those pieces? What was the offers?
Some of them was I used whatever I was doing on my own house. If I had just researched windows, if I just was doing pressure washing, septic tank pumping, whatever it was, call me for vetted vendors. For like easy button for you.
Call me for vetted vendors.
Yes.
So you were trying to make it easier for everyone in the farm to live beautifully in the farm.
Correct.
I love that. Now, when people called you then and said, hey, I need power washing, do you go into a conversation about who you are and that you're actually a real estate agent, or do they think you're a power washer?
No, it was very clear that I was a real estate agent. The dominance was that. But my theme was everything I send, give them information that was important to them, information they would want or need as a consumer. And what I saw stacked over time when the farm really started expanding, I would show up for listing appointments and they would have 6, 8, 10 past cards that they kept. And so I had a big aha moment. Provide things they're going to need. If you own a house, you're going to clean your gutters. You're going to replace windows. You're going to remodel something. To be top of mind for that. But there was always, a complimentary market analysis. I don't want to be top of mind. I'm not, the vendor list. I want to be top of mind for real estate. But it hit hard and fast. In my 4th month of farming is when I got the first listing. And it has been a snowball ever since.
So if the first piece is, you called it wanted and needed information, vendors, what's going on in the neighborhood, this sort of thing. Then the second type of piece is the market update that you were sending quarterly. Is that right?
Yes. Every single quarter, I would send the quarterly update. And that's, nothing proprietary there. That would be the actives, the under contract, pending, sold, days on market, if it was up year over year, all the stats that people want in an easy button, well organized and very attractive.
And are all these postcard bases or are these full sheets of paper? No envelopes. We're just doing postcards.
No envelopes, and go big or go home. Huge, colorful, quality paper. Because one thing I did learn is if there is a sleeping dominant in a neighborhood, you're going to wake them up if you start knocking on their farm. So I learned how to approach that, because you're poking a bear. And I already had the whole year laid out. So they had to catch up with me because they were accustomed to business they no longer had to earn, if that makes sense. So it was shockingly easy to take market share from 2 dominant agents. One was 12-ish years in the business and one at 15, lived in the farm all that time. And everybody knew I was the insurance girl. If your house flooded, caught on fire, call me. Everybody knew I was brand new because I lived in the farm and it didn't matter. I was winning listings with 0 experience in selling houses, but I had everything they needed. A vetted vendor list was golden. That was the golden egg.
So was the MOFR on a postcard to contact you to get the name of a power washer, or were you co-branding with a power washer that month and just putting their number out into the world?
No, I wasn't smart enough then to do all of that.
How would you do it today? Because now you've had all these years, and as a solo agent, you're cranking out over 40 million, and a lot of that comes from the farm.
Yes. Well, I got smarter over the years. That self-promoting other people's businesses with them not having financial partnership in the cost made no sense whatsoever. Plus, as the business built, the market share that I have, I keep 50 to 65% market share in that primary farm. It's a W-2 income. It is just refer. Literally, agent friends of mine are like, do you just drive around that neighborhood? And, I'm not taking that listing, like honk your horn, like they laugh about it. But the key is what I knew I had a system that was amazing because I took it and I went in 4 or 5 other neighborhoods after it was like settled and easy for me. And every single one of them, except one, I had the same success rate.
These postcards themselves, are they specifically mentioning the name of the neighborhood? Is it hyper local to that? Okay, so is that an important piece?
Absolutely critical. I don't think anybody cares if you're buying or selling or listing or just sold, or, the silhouette portfolio of everything you sold the past quarter. If it's not in their neighborhood, I don't think they care. I didn't before I was an agent. I would never keep stuff like that. If it wasn't my neighborhood, I didn't care about it. So hyper local. And then when COVID forward came along with QR codes, where you can add more stuff because everybody was trained to hit that camera button and you could take them to an article where I could give more. There was more real estate on the postcard now because I could take them to another place. So I had very distinctive branding. I have a very dominant red striping that goes on the left side, probably 2 to 3 inches. I started doing like the "you're invited," not for sale, not just listed. It has "you're invited," like an invitation. And that says public open house Saturday 2 to 4, neighborhood only preview 1 to 2. So instead of because what I learned in hindsight is that those neighbors that pop in, they're not just checking out finishes in all cases. That's a job interview you don't even know you're on.
Huh.
So I realized that. So I thought, well, I want to pick them out of the pack. I want them to come in a smaller crowd so I can connect with them. And that turned into a little golden egg because then they would more freely share because they wouldn't be oh, I know you got to get, going. They got a lot of people in here. I had undivided attention from the people who would raise their hand next. And that created such a pipeline. Like my pipeline is built out up to 5 years. And it is crazy. It's well over 95%. If I put you in 5 years from now, you can track the math. The path is in the math. We always say that. You can track the pipeline. If I gave you my vendor, my bathroom remodeler, my landscaper, I put them on a nurture and I followed up. First, because I don't want anybody that's not providing exceptional service on my vendor list because they are a reflection of me because I referred them. So it would give me an easy way to follow up, just checking on how that renovation was going, how'd it go with the vendor. So that helped build credibility and it made me be top of mind for all things real estate.
Is there a specific call to action? Is it email Susan or call Susan or click this QR code for Susan? Do you kind of streamline everybody to one source of incoming lead gen through all these postcards?
As a solo, I did. And we have revamped that in the last year because it was truly too much.
How'd you do it as a solo agent?
Literally answered the call.
So your cell phone was on the card?
My main cell phone was on the card.
And you've revamped that portion of your business because you turned it into a team in 2023. What's the new call to listing action?
So we switched to an office phone. Because what I found, you will hit a ceiling that you're not going to break if you stay solo and have production like that. So I had to make the decision, am I going to have service standards go down? Am I going to have to start saying no to people, or do I grow a team that can service at the same level that I'm providing?
Love that, by the way. Leverage in your life when you get to that point. Remember, the whole idea, friends, and when we talk about this, we talk about Gary, and of course, we're talking about Gary Keller. Him to Jay Papasan and Dave Jenks, may he rest in peace, wrote the book, The Millionaire Real Estate Agent, which is the namesake for our show. And in the book, they lay out the argument around leverage, which is, I maximize what I can do as an individual. And as soon as that's at its max, that's when I get to bring other people into my world and help them build giant worlds. And it sounds like, Susan, you maximized the quality that you could give based on you were overrun with leads.
Yes. There was never a problem collecting the business or converting it, but it was all consuming trying to hang on to a big business as a solo. And I just couldn't ignore the enormous potential on the other side. And, candidly, when you are winning at a high level as a solo agent, I became a little bit addicted to how fun it is to see people win growing their business within yours. And that became like gas to the fire again. It was so exciting to see that new energy coming in. I loved it.
I love that. Me too. I love hearing about it. All right. So I want to go back. Let me make sure that I get this right. So step one, you collected competitor research, but across all different services and brands to see what stood out. And what you learned from that was number one, be consistent with your brand. And number two, make your brand bold. You use a red stripe so everyone instantly knows in a millisecond what this is.
Yes.
Then number two, build out the vendor list of all vendor lists. I love how you said it, vetted vendors. Perfect.
Yes.
Then number three I start to make the touches. And that's going to be go big or go home. So huge, lots of color, high quality. And they're going to be, if you need a vendor, I have that. Then you're going to do the quarterly report. Then neighborhood only open houses, solds and listed, very local neighborhood specific. Am I right up till then?
Yes.
Perfect. Then I need to be super consistent with it and wildly local. So mentioning the neighborhood in my card, extra points for that. Is that right?
Yes.
And then finally, use a QR code and link to more information, an article, a blog post, your website, something that you've done that adds value to the topic in the postcard. Is that right?
Yes.
Perfect. Are there any other touches that happen? Because, these days I'm hearing a lot of hybrid, they call it hybrid farming, where they're also doing physical events in the neighborhood and these sort of things.
Yes.
Have you found the need to do any of that?
Yes. So about 30% of my overall business was actual signs in the ground in the farm area.
When you say that, what do you mean? You mean once you had a
actual
sign
listings in it.
So you put the sign, okay, got it.
Then another 30% of business and this is consistent over the last 5 years when we've been tracking numbers at a high level. Another 30% is referrals from people who live in the farm. So they're not calling me to buy or sell. I'm just a trusted resource outside of the community because you can get pigeonholed into that. I had to really expand how I marketed because then you'll become known as the agent in that one neighborhood, not the whole area that you work. So that's another third. And then the final piece is a absolute consistent follow-up, 36 touch, we call it all different things, to love on them long after the sale. It's so much easier to keep an awesome client than to keep finding awesome clients over and over. And when that referral engine...
I'm going to interrupt you at my own risk, but going back before you get into the 33 touch, you said make sure that they know that you work outside of the farm. Is that just something you're mentioning in conversation, or are you actually doing something or somehow messaging this to them?
Yeah, some of my pieces was over my, whether you're local, national, or international, I have vetted agent resources throughout the world. So I use the leverage of our Keller Williams platform in 50 plus countries and regions. Like no matter where you're looking to buy or sell, I have it kind of termed the Susan wherever you live, wherever you want to be.
I think that's so smart. Whether you're local, national, or international, I have the Susan anywhere you're going.
Yes.
I think that's genius. Okay. Now walk me through 33 touch. So for our friends out there that are new to the program, 33 touch is an idea that is in the MREA, and it's simply the number of touches in a follow-up campaign that you'll send. It doesn't mean that there's 33. We use that as a placeholder for the model. What are the key touches and what's the hack to making sure you win with the program?
We do follow the quarterly touch. We have a lettering system. It's A plus to G. A plus A, B plus B is the most important ones. Those are the pipeline, the cheerleaders of our business. Some of them, I talk to them monthly, some are quarterly, some are biannually, some are annual, because some I see in person often. So it's customized and it is in an instant accessible to who needs to be on what smart plan based on the depth of relationship that I have with them.
I love that, by the way. To me, it's a lot of buzzwords that I'm familiar with, but I want to make sure that I unpack it. So let's start with this A plus, B plus, and B group. What are they all getting? It sounds like they're all getting a personal touch from you at least quarterly. Is that right?
Yeah, so I can hit your question about events because it's double-sided to close the loop on that question. So for the farm itself, I sponsor events and a biannual, it's a turnkey in that farm. I organize a garage sale. I have electronics recycling. I have paper shredding. I have a charity pickup and I have a junk hauler. So basically, again, make the easy button, be the easy button for people. If you pull it out of your house, I have every single step covered where you don't drag anything back into your house. So I have a sign-up sheet and they put on there, moving sale. So that's how I would know somebody was going to be moving. So I do things like that, touching the farm. And then after they're in it, and some of those, the A+ is have they used me or referred me 2 or more times. That means we've closed something or they've referred. That's an A+. An A is 1 time. A B+ is we have had a true, legitimate real estate conversation. They've raised their hand for a vendor. I've done a listing presentation, a buyer consultation, something more than casual like party chatter. They go into the CRM and then they start being nurtured and loved on. They will be invited to our client events. So, in the beginning, it was more simple, the pies at Thanksgiving, things like that. And then it's not scalable as the business grows. So now twice a year, I rent out a winery in our area and have them all come. I think like the simplicity of the program, provide value to them when you send something out. Like these are my 5 touches. The relationship over transaction. Don't close and move on. Close and love on them again and again and again. Consistently follow up with them. I can't tell you how many times we get calls that, I had a great agent, but, we closed and that was the end of that. And I get this a lot. And I'm in sales and I know that's terrible. Like the clients would say this. So they would have used them if they ever called them again, but they didn't.
This makes perfect sense to me. I think I understand the A+, A, and B+. I never got any of those grades in school. Can you hover around the D and E, which is
Yes.
where I was, and let me know what happened? So I got C, D, and E. What happens to those folks?
Yeah. So then a B is a person who we know personally. This is if I see you in the grocery store, I know your name, you know mine. If I see you on a ball field or anything like that. People that you have party chatter, real estate conversations over. C's are open house people. D's are, we don't buy internet leads. I never have, but they do find you still on Zillow and other searches. So that's where they go. E is other agents so that we don't send invitations and client stuff. I mean, I get invited every single week of my life to go to an open house in other states across the country.
You think you get invited? You know how many open house invites I get? It's unbelievable what I'm dealing with.
I can not even imagine knowing the scale I get.
It's the People's Podcast. You know how many broker opens I get invited to every day before 7 a.m.? It's insane. I get it, y'all. You have cheese. I thank you for the invite to eat the cheese. I'm grateful.
Well, we have all of our agents categorized as E. So when we are sending local things to people, they don't get items they won't read. The quickest way to get unsubscribed or unfollowed or blocked or whatever is to send things repetitively that have no value to the end user. So that is what our E is. Our F is a delete at next round. That is people, we do use command. I've been all in on command for 4 years. So F people mean they were open house leads or just kind of a dead lead that we move them over to lead pool. Because then when we will revive those, the other side, for those of you that don't use command, our pure side of command is people that know us, love us, trust us. And we love them too. The lead pool is where the other people go. So they don't have, I'm going to say like fake numbers in my CRM. Like what is really driving this business? So those people will go to F. And then G, the last one, is people who've used us, referred us, but moved out of the area. So am I going to send them an invitation to my winery event that they live 18 hours away from? Probably not. But once a year, I'm going to send them a holiday card. I get a nice national tax update, things that are more generic over no matter where you live. This applies. And those people still refer us. And many times they move back. And since we didn't stop loving on them, they come back to us.
I have to run my farm and then I have to run my database. And those two things intersect when people in the farm do business with me, and then I stay in touch with them forever. Is this right?
Yes. It has turned into a W-2 income, and more than 80% of it is inbound.
When you say a W-2 income, you just mean it's wildly repetitive and repeat, and you can count on it as sure as the sun's coming up tomorrow.
Yes. And I've been enough years into it where I can see the history of when we move people from 5 years. So what does a 5-year lead look like? Like, who tracks? And they're categorized that way. That's the people that my son or daughter is graduating high school or college in this year. We don't want to wait to the last minute and have to do a bunch of renovations. Would you come over and tell us how to spend? One of my big mofers is it is never too early to have a real estate agent, a pro, come to your house and give you pointers on how to get your highest return on value when you are ready to sell. We have that conversation. That's where my vendors come in. So I watch them move, or we're retiring that year, where the date is fixed and finite and it's not going to move. So then they just slide down. So that might be a once a year touch. Then as they slide to the 3 to 5 years, it might be twice a year touch. Then we're in the 1 to 2 year mark. It's going to be quarterly. And then when we're sliding in the home stretch, monthly.
So if I'm going to go launch a farm tomorrow, I'm a real estate agent. I'm out there in the real estate multiverse. I'm loving listening to you. I'm enamored with being a solo agent who does 40 million. And it's, by the way, it's not because your average sales price is $1.8 million. What's your average sales price, Susan?
On the low side is in the mid to low 500s. The average high side is right under $1 million.
If I'm going to go start this tomorrow, what's the mistake I'm going to make? Like, what would you tell me if I'm going to go start my farm fresh? Jason, do this, but don't do this.
So I have sat with probably 200 to 250 agents now, and I see a very common theme where almost everybody missteps. I call it the Amazon factor. We live in a world where we want everything right now. I decided I'm going to be a farm. I'm going to farm, and I want immediate success from it. What most people do is come to me with budgets of $2,500, $5,000, or $10,000. That's like the main three. And they want to do one massive piece across as many homes as possible and expect success when you have no credibility in the farm yet. So instead, the smart play is what I tell every one of them: pick the farm size that you are willing to farm with absolute consistency. A never miss a month consistently for a minimum of 6 to 9 months, preferably a year. That is how much you should farm when you start. Because it's just like anything else, even if you're a YouTuber or, whatever platform it is, it takes top agent after top agent. When I hear them speak, it is a 4 to 6 month rhythm before they really think, oh, I'm on to something here. So it takes that time, and they want it instantly. They want the Instacart. So I use an analogy. And if you get this analogy in your mind, everything makes more sense about geofarming. Literally stay with me, Jason, on this one. Picture a gritty, sweaty farmer on his tractor, overalls, the hat, the whole thing. He is plowing that field. He did not just pull up and throw seeds in it. He picked the field. He made rows in the crop. He had a systematic plan. What is going in at what season? What are they planting? You have to go back and you water it. You fertilize it. You till the ground. You got to pull the weeds. If they only did mass seeds one time, how much bounty is he really going to get?
Yeah, you're spot on. This makes
It's the
perfect
same
sense to
thing.
me. It's the same thing. And at a minimum, I'm sending one postcard a month.
At a minimum. So for people who have a little bit tighter budget, the most I will recommend, you can stretch it to 6 weeks. But if you go 8 weeks or beyond, you just don't have enough consistency of brand to be top of mind.
Okay, makes perfect sense to me. I love it. Susan, thank you. You have simplified geographic farming for me in a way that very few have. Let me ask you this. I want to switch gears for a second, and I want to take you back to ancient Athens. So if you go back far enough, you're going to find a young man named Epicurus, and he was a philosopher of his day, and he bought this incredible villa in downtown. And instead of going and standing on stages, he just invited people over to hang out in his garden, and it became known as Epicurus's garden. Will you join us in our garden?
Do you know how long I've been wanting to hear that, Jason? Absolutely, yes.
You honor me, my dear. Thank you for saying that. So you look up today and you've built this thriving business.
Yes.
But it has been built in the community that you live in. Mm-hmm. And some people want to go home at the end of the day and escape work. You go home at the end of the day to work because everyone in that whole neighborhood knows you. Have you sacrificed any peace at home? And how do you deal with being a celebrity in your neighborhood?
Honestly, I love it. About maybe 3 or 4 years into it, the mayor, I'm called the mayor. And it's kind of funny, like my nickname is the Godfather. So there's lots of jokes around both of those things. But I love serving the people that I'm in community with. I don't want to see somebody else's sign in the yard. I want to know that right here, who's going to care more about your property value than somebody who lives in your same neighborhood? So there is an extra level of pressure. Your standard of care has to be exceptional because, now with closed Facebook groups and things of that nature, everybody has immediate access to rise your reputation or crush it instantly. And people take those as fact without knowing what all the facts are. So there is added pressure, but I have beta tested this in other neighborhoods that I don't live in, that I don't have any tie to whatsoever, and it worked exactly the same. The only thing different was it didn't say, I live where you live. It didn't say resident of, like all the personal things were there. But it's like, like a surgeon. You can do a surgery in any state. Your skill's the same. In any farm area, the skill set is the same. Be a master of the numbers. Be an absolute top expert on crunching numbers in that farm. I can walk in houses and literally hide a low with such a small margin of error before I even put pen to paper and give analysis because I'm just so familiar. And that transfers over all the other farms.
I love that. You're a fan of the MREA book.
Yes.
What was your aha after you read it? When you read it the first time and looked up, what did you think?
My biggest aha, because I was 2 years in the business when I came to KW, my mind was completely blown that this company has a blueprint on how to do this, and people don't follow it to the letter. I did not recreate the wheel. I read the book probably 7 times the first year. I learned the hard way. It is not digestible in Audible. You will need your charts. You will need your graphs. You're going to have to turn the pages. And it took me right at 2 years. I think it was 2 years and almost 2 months from never touching the concept, mind blown that a solo agent could even do that. And I was sitting in the Atlanta airport and I saw, I presume it was an agent sitting across from me with that book in hand. And I thought, wait a minute, there's a book with a blueprint? And I bought it when I landed. And about 2.5 months later, I joined KW. And 2 years later, I had accomplished it. And I've been at that level ever since for the last 5 years.
That blows me away. No one gave you the book. You saw someone reading it in an airport and then bought it.
I did.
It's like, that blows me away. That blows me away. All right, final question for me. You are on a path right now to build now the team around all this, but you're also wildly passionate about teaching and bringing people along on your journey so they can find their own. Where is that coming from? Because I can look up and say, Susan, it's all a distraction. It's a big waste of your time, and you make more money selling houses. But that doesn't seem to matter to you at the moment.
If I could do it full time, I probably would. But I love what I'm doing. Like, I'm still passionate. I'm not looking to sundown. I'm not looking to get out of production. But I am looking to expand on a superpower that I found that I have. And I have a tremendous care and passion for people. I want to see them succeed. And I've been mentoring people for years. But it's a whole different level when they come into your business and you see them thriving. It's incredible to experience. So I think it comes from, one, I know what you teach, you have to master. So you become an absolute student of the market. I'm not going to stand before people and present material that I don't feel like I have a command on. And I never want to leave a room without everybody in it feeling like I gave massive value and their time was well spent with me.
Well, I can tell you from my perspective, my love, it is very well spent time. Thank you. I love your heart. I love what you're doing for the industry. I love what you're doing for our friends in Northern Atlanta. They are getting the best of it. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
I told you at the beginning in the intro that I think it's a no-brainer, and I'm doubling down on it after listening to her. It's a no-brainer. Let's play a game. Friends, if you're not driving, raise your hand if you're getting out of the real estate business in the next 30 days. Okay, 60 days. Okay, I got it wrong. 90 days. You know you're getting out of the business in the next 90 days. Just go ahead and raise your hand. Oh, no one? Right, because the people that listen to this show, the People's Podcast, you all are the most successful real estate agents in the planet. You're not getting out of the business. So you know you're going to be in it 3 months from now. Friends, I know you're going to be in it 3 years from now. Why wouldn't you have a farm going? You just would. It's going to produce results. And the way she explains it is easy. Number one, I'm going to collect every postcard that comes to my house. They're already coming, and I'm going to pick the ones that actually speak to me. Then I'm going to build my brand, and I got to make sure that it's bold and dominant so that within a millisecond of looking at it, they know who I am. Then I got to build my vendor network. I would venture to guess that most of you have a vendor network now. Then I got to start making my touches, and they're going to be postcards, and they're going to be big, and they're going to be bold, and they're going to be quality, and they're going to be beautiful. And I'm never, ever, ever going to miss a month. And I'm going to send vendor offers. I'm going to send quarterly reports. I'm going to send neighborhood-only open houses. And I'm going to say, whether you're local, national, or international, I can help you. I thought that was really smart. And by the way, note, if you're going to do it in a place that you live, you're nuts if you don't write on it. Who's going to care more than someone who lives here? Because I do. Then I think you're going to use a QR code and you're going to link to additional information about whatever the MOFR for the card was. And then I think she said, that's it. Like, just do that and the phone is going to start ringing. By the way, gang, you could stop there. But if you're going to have the phone ring, you might as well systematize the people that are calling and then have a system. They're going to go into my database system, and then I'm going to follow up with them over time. And here's what I get from it. Susan's an overnight success that took 5 years to build. That's the takeaway. And I think that's the takeaway for all of us. It's the same thing that happens when we interview people on YouTube. And I say, friends, the only mistake is not starting today. You know why? Because you're going to interview Susan again a year from now, and she's going to be making even more money and more business out of the farm. We're going to interview a YouTube person next year, and they're going to be making even more money. But you got to start somewhere. Think about doing this. Pick a number of houses you know you can commit to a year, put that money in the bank, and go make an investment in yourself. Go forth and do likewise. There it is. That wraps another episode. Friends, I don't know what you're taking out of this. I really don't. I'll tell you what I want you to be taking out of it, which is these are the people that are having tremendously big lives. And the reason it's happening is because they're setting up the models and systems to do just that. Gary Keller told me that leadership is teaching people how to think so that they do the things they need to do when they need to do them, so that ultimately they get the things they want when they want to have them. And that's what I want for you. You're all leaders, but it begins with leading ourselves. If you're enjoying this podcast, I want you to click the subscribe button anywhere that you get your podcasts. We want to be the voice in your head every single week, and every week we're dropping new content. We also send out a newsletter at the conclusion of every show to make sure that you get the highest points in the models and systems that were discussed. So if you want to sign up, I need your name and your email address. Head over to the millionaireagentpodcast.com. millionaireagentpodcast.com. Enter your name and your email address, and every week that newsletter will be in your box. Friends, you just went on a journey. I hope that what happens between now and the next time we meet is absolutely wonderful for you. Thanks for listening. I'll see you next week.
This podcast is for general informational purposes only. The views, thoughts, and opinions of the guest represent those of the guest and not Keller Williams Realty LLC and its affiliates, and should not be construed as financial, economic, legal, tax, or other advice. This podcast is provided without any warranty or guarantee of its accuracy, completeness, timeliness, or results from using the information. Warning: you must comply with the TCPA and any other federal, state, or local laws, including for B2B calls and texts. Never call or text a number on any do not call list, and do not use an auto dialer or artificial voice or pre-recorded messages without proper consent. Contact your attorney to ensure your compliance.